Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swāmī Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prashadine Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Paschatya Desatharine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Some of the persons in this room may have been with us for some of the time we were at the Potomac, Washington, D.C. area temple, conducting a seminar on Vrindavan, or the personalities in Braja Leela. For our newer people, what does that mean? The place where Krishna appeared and performed his childhood pastimes, the Holy Land, Vrindavan Dham. So we had some 7.5 to 2 hour classes on that topic, and it was lovely. And if you missed it, I could say too bad, but I could say also you could hear the YouTube recordings, and I'm sure you'll feel something. Because when you hear about Krishna and his wonderful places of pastimes and his devotees, something starts to churn inside. Something starts to churn inside. Not that you've never experienced that before. If you haven't, or if you have, something will start to churn inside. That churning inside is likened to sprouting a seed. Within a seed is life, but it's dormant. And there's something that helps make the seed germinate. And that's water, a little bit, some earth, and some sunlight. And slowly, the seed will start to sprout. And the hard shell that kept that life alive, dormant inside, starts to break open, and slowly, the life that's within the seed starts to come out, and you continue the cultivation process of sunlight, a little bit of water, and so forth. As the seeds will grow, so our consciousness of, as we were discussing in Potomac, remembering that which we have forgotten, or reviving our original dormant consciousness of our relationship with the Supreme Person, will start to grow and grow. And that method primarily is through sound. The whole vast body of Vedic literature is, before it was written, it was just sound. Later it was written in a written form because people in the present age don't have very good memories, so it helps to write things down. It's one of the things that Prabhupada taught. If you want to remember something, write it down. Like Vyasadeva wrote the Vedas. So we write, and then we vibrate that which was written. And when we vibrate, that sound vibration awakens the dormant consciousness of who we really are. And so this is the topic for this. I'm going to speak for a little while. What's our cutoff time?
6:10.
6:30.
6:10. 6:10. 6:10.
6:10. Got it. We'll oblige you, I promise. 6:10. Sound vibration awakens our dormant consciousness. So we've been we had a sound bath. Immersion in sound vibration in relation to Krishna, specifically into relation to the places of Krishna's childhood pastimes and the associates of Krishna. And one of the primary sources, there are multiple, but one of the primary sources of that hearing is the Srimad Bhagavatam. And our founder Acharya, seated here, dedicated who knows how many hundreds of hours. Every day, adding to the translation from Sanskrit and the Bhaktivedanta purports to provide us with something, right?
I think the battery's gone.
Try changing the battery. Do you have another battery?
Yeah.
Do you have the other microphone? Where's the other microphone?
Let's see.
Technology's great when it works. And it's a little troublesome when it doesn't. I have experience. Oh. Sound vibration recording Krishna's activities in Vrindavan, and all of his various manifestations are found in Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time quoting two verses, and those of you that have been around for a while, you can say them responsibly with me. It's from Canto 1, Chapter 2, starting with text 17. So you say responsibly, Shrinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vidyantaksto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Saritsatam. And our newer guests, even if you don't know the meaning, the sound vibration is purifying. And if you know the meaning, then it helps to take that sound vibration and put it into action in our daily lives. So this verse is speaking about the importance of hearing, Shrinvatam, and hearing what? The topics of Krishna. Swa Kata. Kata means talks or messages. Swakata, about Krishna. Hearing topics about Krishna has an effect. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Punya means piety, but it's not just, help little old ladies across the street or open a hospital or do some welfare work. That is piety, material piety. But this is a transcendental. It builds spiritual merit. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Shravana Kirtana means hearing and repeating that sound vibration. Hearing, repeating that sound vibration, and slowly, by that hearing and repeating of sound vibration, that's the process of awakening the seed, the dormant seed of Krishna consciousness, or consciousness of who we really are and our relationship.
There is another sound
Coming from this speaker. I'll pretend it's not happening. How's that? Meanwhile, somebody can do what they need to do with Mr. Technology and set him straight. So, Hridyandhaksto Yabhadrani. Hridyandhaksto. Within the heart becomes cleansed of abhadras, of all inauspicious things. Vidhunoti means to cleanse. Vidhunoti saritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, the Saritsatam personality. Krishna cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So all of us seated here, voluntarily here we are, and the consequence of hearing these sound vibrations, kirtan and every other transcendental sound vibration, has the effect of cleansing the heart and awakening something that's asleep, the dormant attraction for the Supreme Person and our relationship with the Supreme Person. And the subject matter is this Srimad Bhagavatam. Here's the next verse. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtuki. Let's do the last line first. Bhaktir bhavati naishtuki. Bhavati means, like in French, voila. There it is. Voila. Some of you kids are in high school and you probably take French. Voila. There it is. Bhavati. This bhakti manifests. Bhaktir bhavati naishtuki. So the fact that dormant consciousness of our eternal relationship with the Supreme is there is demonstrated by a desire to be in service. Bhakti, the very, I'm not a Sanskritist like he is, but this much I know. For all Sanskrit words, there's a root. And the verbal root or dhatu for bhakti is bhaj. He's the scholar, but it's right in Prabhupada's books, right in 6.47. The root word for bhakti is bhaj. And bhaj means senses, sense objects, practical activity of engaging the senses and sense objects with the purpose of pleasing the objects of the senses. The object of the senses is not just the object, but the person, the Supreme Person. Practical activity with the intention of satisfying the Supreme Person, or using the senses, another phrase in Sanskrit, Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam. You've heard that one, right? Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam. What does Rishikesha mean? This girl is nodding her head. Rishikesha means Krishna. Krishna, he's the master of the senses. Rishikesha, the master of the senses. And Rishikena is the senses are used in service of the master of the senses. Rishikesha, Rishikena, Sevanam. Or Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam. Use the senses in the service of the master of the senses. That's what bhakti is. I'm looking over here at our newer people again. That's bhakti. You use your senses in service to the master of the senses. Now, there's another way to use the senses. I don't think about the master of the senses. I think about, I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy. And the I is the body. And I want to enjoy the senses for my own pleasure. And I'm not thinking about the master of the senses. I'm thinking about my pleasure. And not even what my pleasure is, just what the sense pleasure is. Because I'm something other than the body. If I don't know that I'm something other than the body, it's default. I'm using my senses to satisfy my senses. But if one engages in bhakti, one uses one's senses for the satisfaction of the master of the senses. So that bhaktir bhavati naishtuki arises from hearing. It's worth saying it twice. Say it backwards. What arises What comes about from the process of hearing is the desire to be in service to the master of the senses. I like to serve. Now, supposing I don't like to serve the master of the senses, then I may serve besides myself. I'm going to find some other object of service. In altruism and philanthropism and isms galore, according to my ideals of what's good, I'm going to serve that. Or him or her or a dog or a cat or some object of service, because it's who we are. Spiritually speaking, it's who we are. Eternally, we're servants of the Supreme. But when that's forgotten, then we serve something else. And that's on the material platform. So the spiritual platform was awakened by what we're doing right now, which is hearing. And the first line, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. This is describing one of the progressive stages. Nashta means to be destroyed, or to remove, to eradicate. Nashta. And Abhadra means inauspicious things. Just like on the altar, there's Jagannath and Subhadra and Balaram. So Subhadra's in the middle. And Subhadra means very auspicious. Bhadra means auspicious. Subhadra means very auspicious. And Abhadra means inauspicious. So Abhadra is the inauspicious things that are in the heart. Nashta Prayeshu, Abhadreshu. By the process of hearing, the Abhadras, the unwanted things, they're Nashta. They're eliminated, they're removed, they're cleansed. And by what are they cleansed? Nityam is underlined. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam literally means always, or minimally it means regularly. It also can mean regularly, like every day. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. Nityam. And then comes the word Bhagavata. In the center of the altar is the deity of Radha and Krishna. And he's Bhagavan. And that which is in relation to Bhagavan is Bhagavata. I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, I just listened to Prabhupada's classes and I learned a few things. Bhagavata is in relation to Krishna. So there's two kinds of Bhagavatas. The book, Srimad Bhagavata or Bhagavatam, and the person, Bhagavata. Person is the devotee that serves Bhagavan, and the book serves Bhagavan, or it glorifies Bhagavan. It's in relation to Bhagavan. And Sevaya, render service. So all that is, this is the first two lines, all that is inauspicious within the heart is almost destroyed. The reason almost is keep going and it'll be completely, but in the intermediate stage, quickly, relatively speaking, that which is inauspicious in the heart is destroyed. And what arises when that's destroyed is bhakti. Bhakti bhavati, naishtuki. Naishtuki. It's established as an irrevocable fact. Irrevocable fact means it can't be destroyed. Now, what happens if one, this is from Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, what happens if someone starts and then desists in bhakti practice and it's never destroyed? Prabhupada's keeping it really simple. The math is really easy. Suppose somebody makes 10% advancement and then stops. But it's never lost because it's permanent. It's irrevocable. So that means they may not continue further in the rest of their life, but in their next life, they'll begin at 11%. But don't leave it at 10%. Mm-hmm. Keep going. And so it's not just partial, but make it complete. But the process of cleansing and awakening, that's what this verse is saying. Just by the process of oral reception. Here is Prabhupada's translation. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, the person of the book Bhagavata, All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, loving service unto the personality of Godhead, Bhaktir Bhavati, who is praised with transcendental songs, Uttama Shloke, is established as an irrevocable fact, nice to keep. So what we've been doing, and you can, if you weren't with us, you can hear recordings, 7 times an hour and a half to 2 hours, up until right now. That's a lot of sound vibration. That's a lot of these two things, cleansing and awakening. Now, the awakening process, of course, all of us in the room, I'm one, I'm here because of Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada took upon his head and his shoulders and his heart the service of bringing this sound vibration to the world. He was living in Vrindavan, practically like a retired person's dream come true. He was living right almost in front, little side room, but almost in front of one of the most popular temples in all of Vrindavan, the Radha Damodar temple. 2 little rooms. And he could have stayed there as a retired elderly person, having lived his life a responsible householder. Now, in the renounced order of life, at the end of his life, he could have lived the rest of his life being happy. But he wanted to do more than be happy. He wanted to make others happy. And that some others. Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu. He wanted everyone should be happy. Those of you that are like me, that like listening to Prabhupada's recorded classes, listen how many times you hear him say that phrase, either directly in Sanskrit or in English or combination. Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu. Everyone should be happy. That was the fuel in his tank. And it was like he didn't even need to refill. He just kept getting charged up by Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu. He wanted everyone should be happy. And that mission that he was on came from his spiritual master and on through the line of disciplic succession to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those of you that are newer, I'll introduce you to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's on the left altar, along with Lord Nityananda. And the phrase that you see on the screen, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. It's a prayer to Lord Chaitanya, indicating that he's the Mahavadanyaya. He's the most, even stronger word than merciful, munificent. Why? Because he was giving freely Krishna Prema. But I'm not qualified. I'm a little nobody in the middle of nowhere, and I don't know nothing about anything. And I think I know a lot about a lot of things, and I'm not really qualified to be a recipient of Krishna Prema. That's okay, take it anyways. Really? Take it anyways. Take it anyways. Krishna Prema Pradaya, giving freely. Now, there's something that we have to do besides say yes and reach out, and there it's in your hand. There's this purification described in those 2 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, and further by the process of hearing, to make ourselves eligible to receive the fullness of Krishna Prema. But not only did he give Krishna Prema freely, but he gave us very special kind of prema, or love of God. Prema means the perfection of one's relationship with the Supreme is prema. And he gave not just Krishna Prema, but he gave Braja Prema. Braja Prema means what we've been speaking about this past 7 times, an hour and a half to 2 hours this weekend. It's Braja Prema. What's Braja Prema? Braja Prema is love that's super excellent in quality because it's not only is appreciating that God is almighty and has all opulences, that is, he's Bhagavan. Go back up. What's the meaning of Bhagavan? Bhagavan means one who has bhagas. Van means one who possesses, and bhaga means spiritual opulences. To put the two terms together, you have Bhagavan. Bhagavan is he who has all spiritual opulences in full. That's Bhagavan. And so Bhagavan in relation to Bhagavan is Bhagavata, and the book Bhagavata, the person Bhagavata, by rendering service to them, then our love for Bhagavan sprouts and the coverings become cleansed. But Bhagavan, meaning one who possesses all opulences in full, has this superlative relationship or kind of activity in Vrindavan or Braja, where the sweetness of his personality and his loving dealings is so strong. The sweetness eclipses his majesty. Say it again. His sweetness eclipses his majesty. When there's an eclipse, it's not that the object that's being eclipsed goes out of existence. When there was a lunar eclipse not so long ago, and when the moon, there's a lunar eclipse, it's not this moon goes out of existence. You just can't see it. But we can't see it because there's something in the way. It depends on what your philosophy is, what's in the way. But something's in the way, and you can't see it. And then the something that's in the way starts to move, and then you can see the sun, the moon, because the moon is there. Then you can't see it. Then it's there. It's there. So that the majesty of Bhagavan is always there because he's Bhagavan. And however, in Vrindavan or in Braja, the majesty becomes eclipsed by something. And what's that something? The something is the sweetness, or madhurya. Madhu means sweet. The madhurya, the sweetness of Krishna and his loving dealings, and everything, his smile and his glances and his everything, his abode, his devotees, and everything. The sweetness is so thick that it eclipses the majesty. Every now and then he pulls the curtain back and shows his majesty. And then he closes the curtain again. And the people have such love for him. The sweetness of their love for him is such, they don't even take it that he's just disclosed his Bhagavan-ness, his majesty. It's something else. In different ways, it's something else. Because from their side, the sweetness of their love is so strong. So that's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was distributing, and that's what we spent the weekend discussing. Now I learned something because there was a question that was asked. Sanskrit words, all as far as I've experienced, they have a meaning. And so what's the meaning of Braja? Vrindavan is easy. Vana means forest, and forest of Vrinda. Vrindavana, the forest of Vrinda. So we spent some time during this weekend. I spoke for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, on Vrinda Devi. And without redoing that class, because there isn't time to redo that class, Vrinda Devi is very intimate associate of Krishna. Vrinda Devi is Krishna's Leela Shakti. What's that mean? The potency by which Krishna performs his pastimes, she is personified as Vrinda Devi. And she, Vrinda Devi, has her expansions without all the details, because that's another class. But Vrinda Devi is very dear to Krishna, and the forest is her forest. So it's called Vrindavana or Vrindavana. And this word Vraja is used often interchangeably with Vrindavan. So what does Vraja mean? That question came up. He knew the answer. I looked it up, and it's sure enough what he said is the answer. So here's a quote from Hari Namamrita Vyakarana, where Vraja, the dhatu, or the verbal root, for Vraja is gatau, or to go, or to move. So the residents of Vrindavan are always in the move. But their movement is not only with their legs, it's with their hearts, and their movement, both their legs and their hearts, moving, flowing with sweetness towards Krishna in his Braja feature, or the Braja Prema feature. Their hearts are attracted to Krishna in that way. I'm looking at the clock, and I want to see that we'll keep our time. And I think I have another 10 minutes, then he's got another half hour. Is that right? Okay. So I know he loves Vrindavan, and one of his topics was Radha Kund. Now, some of you are newer, and the rest of you know what Radha Kund is. Radha Kund is a very, how many times to say very? 6 times very, 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 very special place in Vrindavan, because it's a place where Srimati Radharani has invested all of her love for Krishna. That's a lot of love. And all of her love for Krishna is invested in that place, Radhakund. Those of you that have not yet been to Vrindavan, please go. And when you go to Vrindavan, for sure, you'll go to Govardhan Hill. And when you go to Govardhan Hill, it's a very long mountain that's narrow, and it runs almost north and south. And at the very north end of Govardhan Hill, it's Radhakund, and next to Radhakund is Shamakund. I'm going to show you a photograph of the two places. This is, on the right side is Shamakund, and on the left side is Radhakund. And there you can see it's kind of developed around the place. And I'm going to narrate a pastime that's connected with, let's see if I can do it. You see that set of stairs across the street, across the lake?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, here's the laser pointer. Hopefully it works. There's the place. We're going to take a look at a pastime, hear about a pastime at that place. Pavan Sarovar. Let's go. Oh, excuse me. Manasa Pavan Ghat. So, step back. And for some period of time, 2 of the most exalted followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for those of you that are new, that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We met him, and he's on our altar. And it's very elevated, amongst many, 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 many very elevated followers, were 2 brothers, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. And Rupa Goswami was especially empowered and requested by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to write scriptures that describe the bhakti process. So he was involved in doing that, and he was empowered. Very, very amazing literatures. And so Rupa Goswami looked up to his elder brother, Sanatana Goswami, and when he would write, he would give his writing to Sanatana Goswami for evaluation. Did he see anything in it that he felt it should be changed or edited or something? He was like at the feet of his elder brother, although Rupa Goswami was most exalted himself. But one time he gave a manuscript that he was working on to Sanatana Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami said, "I'll look it over." And as he was reading the manuscript, he felt uncomfortable with a certain passage. And in that certain passage, it described the gopis who were at Manasa Pavan Ghat. And Manasa Pavan Ghat, as you saw and you heard, is on the side of Shamakund. Shamakund means Krishna's Kund. Over on the other side is Radhakund. But they liked taking bath and doing their activities at Shamakund, and they particularly liked this place, Manasa Pavan Ghat. Manasa means mind, and pavan means to make clean. So their minds became cleansed by thinking of Krishna at Manasa Pavangat. So they were engaged in their activities, as you see in this nice painting, at Manasa Pavangat. And Rupa Goswami then described that Srimati Radharani's hair had a long braid, and the long braid looked like a snake climbing up her back. And Sanatan thought, really? Doesn't sound so good. So he was going to remark that to Rupa next day when they saw each other again. And after he finished going over the manuscript, he put it to the side. He went to, as you see, he went to down, this photograph is taken something close to where his little bhajan kutir was and his deities in Madan Mohan. So he went down heading for Shamakund to take his midday bath, and he looked across at Manasa Pavangat. He saw some girls, little village girls, playing, giggling, and doing their thing. And one of them, it looked to him like there was a snake crawling up her back. And he called out loudly, "Look out! There's a snake crawling up your back." And the one that was crawling up her back was Radharani. Radharani turned and smiled, and then all of a sudden all the girls just disappeared. So then he realized Krishna was letting him know it was good what he wrote. So when Rupa Goswami came later and said, "How'd you like the writing? Anything need to be changed?" He said, "Oh, it's very good. I especially like the part about the snake climbing up the back of Radharani." And in this way, our transcendental Vaishnavas had realizations about Krishna and Radha and the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and their associates that we don't have access to because we're not pavan yet. We're not purified yet. But the process of purification has been described, and the process of purification was given to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, it's from the scriptures. And I want to say one more thing, and I'm going to end on time. I have 3 minutes. Watching the clock. There you see a photograph of a painting of Bhakti Siddhanta. So on the Vyasasana back here is our founder Acharya, and he had a spiritual master. This is his spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta. And one of Bhakti Siddhanta's teachings that connects with Lord Chaitanya's teachings is that the Hari Katha, the topics about Krishna, remember Srinvatasva Katha, Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, the topics about Krishna, that's the Swarup Shakti of Harinam. For newer people, what's all this terminology? Swarup Shakti means Krishna's own potency, Swarupa Shakti, his own potency. Harikatha is the Swarup Shakti of Krishna. And when we are chanting, as you were with us earlier chanting in Kirtan, that's called Harinam. And we're chant together, it's Harinam Sankirtan. And that's what Lord Chaitanya came to give. Harinam Sankirtan. Bhakti Siddhanta is indicating that Harinam Sankirtan, or Krishna himself in the form of the holy name, has his Swarup Shakti. Like, there's the sun and there's the sunshine. And they're inseparable, but they're distinct. The sun is not the sunshine is not the sun. They're inseparable, but they're distinct. Similarly, Hari Katha are topics about Hari, topics about Krishna, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the chanting of the holy name. It's like the Swarup Shakti of Harinam. Here's what he writes. Just as Krishna is properly worshipped not alone, but with his Swarup Shakti Shri Radha, similarly, recitation of Harinam is incomplete and improper unless accompanied by hearing Harikatha. So I have half a minute. I'm going to end promptly. So prepare yourself for putting brakes on. But the message here is we do both, and they stand side by side, just like Radha and Krishna are side by side. We chant the holy name, and we hear Srimad Bhagavatam and topics about Krishna's loving associates and his activities with them in Vrindavan. And we chant the holy name. And we hear Krishna Katha. And we hear Krishna Katha, and we chant the holy name. That's our mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Bell just rang. Time to end. So now you're ready for the real treat, because at least what he did when we were speaking together in Potomac, he took all my points and just expanded on them so nicely, at least the major points. So there you go. Some of you have never heard, many of you, he is a regular visitor here. To come to Potomac, he, hurt his back, just making the travel back and forth. But, many of you know who he is, and some of you may not, but you're in for a treat, for those of you who have not. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे कृष्ण Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. It's my honor and privilege to be in the assembly of so many wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, headed by His Holiness Romapada Swāmī Maharaj at the lotus feet of Shri Radha Madhav, Gaur Nitai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra and Srila Prabhupada. I am utterly unqualified to share any of my thoughts here, but with all my heart, I would like to start with gratitude that I want to thank His Holiness Romapada Swāmī Maharaj for kindly having me over and giving me an opportunity to speak. I'm reminded of the days in school when I was growing up. We used to have what is called as the Teacher's Day. That's the 5th of September, correct? And in our school, we used to have a special celebration for that day. And the celebration used to be the students used to become teachers. And the teachers used to sit on benches. And they used to have a nice treat because the kids would try to blabber something, which most of the times, I remember at least what I did, it didn't make any sense. But the teachers were so kind. We were very scared to speak in their presence, but at the same time, we were also very comfortable because we knew that they loved us. They were very affectionate. They were our teachers, but they were also our fathers and mothers. So I feel like that today, that I am a student. I'm like His Holiness Romapada Swāmī Maharaj's, spiritual son and disciple. And today's seems to be like Teacher's Day. Maharaj is very kind to accept this student and give him an opportunity to blabber a few words. I'm very nervous because I'm sitting next to my teacher. But at the same time, I feel very comfortable because I know he has a lot of affection for all of us, including me. So anything auspicious that may come through my mouth in the next 15, 20 minutes, please know where it's coming from. And any mistakes that I make, Maharaj, please can you forgive me? Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa. So, His Holiness Romapada Swāmī Maharaj touched upon 3 main points in the talk, which I would like to also share a few thoughts on. The first was on the importance of hearing. Did we all hear? Yes, attentively. What were the 2 verses that Maharaj quoted? Yes, the little boy there. What's your name? Param, go for it. What was the first verse? Everyone, please clap. Very nice. What was the second verse? Yes.
No.
Nashta prayeshu. Very good. Good job. Now, what is the one-line essence of the conclusion of both those verses? Anyone? Raise of hand. One-line conclusion. Yes, Prabhu. That was the last line of the last slide.
So it's on the screen, right?
That's, yes. Yes, Prabhu. Interesting. Beautiful. Beautiful. By hearing Krishna Katha, Ridhyantastha abhadrani vidhunoti. Krishna vidhunoti. He cleans. So this is quite fascinating. All that we have to do is hear about him. And what he does, he cleanses our heart. Sometimes we complain that I am stuck with a lot of lust and anger and greed and pride. But whose duty is it to clean our heart? It's Krishna's duty. Because Krishna vidhunoti, he cleans. But only for those, Shunvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana, for those who attentively hear. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we can see Krishna says, I am your best ever well-wishing friend. Right? What verse is that? Krishna says, I am your, yes.
Suhridam
Sarvabhutanam Jnatva Mam Shantim Yachati. Very nice. So Krishna says, I am your ever well-wishing best friend. Let's see an example. Let's say our house is completely in a disarray. Not let's say, but most of our houses are. When a guest comes home, what do? On the name of cleaning, we just take everything together and dump it in one room and lock that room. And then there's a caution and a disclaimer to all the kids. Make sure Prabhu or Mataji or Maharaj don't get into this room. Or if you have a nice garage that no one's going to visit, then take everything, dump it there, right? So imagine if our room is really dirty and you have someone knocking at the door and we open the door. What happens? We're embarrassed because the room is dirty. What do you think the person is going to do? Yes? Yeah, most of the times they may not care. They may not say anything, but they will not come back also. They will never come back again. But what do you think a friend is going to do? If, let's say, the friend knocks the door and he sees that the room is dirty and we are cleaning, we are in the middle of cleaning, the friend's going to pull up his sleeves and say, why didn't you tell me? There's a Maha cleanup in the temple. Nilmada Prabhu loves such examples. When's the next Maha cleanup, by the way? Next week. So everyone, make sure. Gundicha Marjan ki? So let's say there's a best friend who comes at the door and he knocks the door and we're in the middle of cleaning. He's going to pull up his sleeves and say, why didn't you tell me? I would have helped. And he helps us clean the room and he doesn't tell a word to anyone. He doesn't speak a word to anyone about how dirty our room was. So this is how Krishna Katha works. Anything that comes into the purview of our sound vibration to the ear, material sound especially, it doesn't help. It's like one of those people who knock the door, they look at how dirty the room is, and they don't help. So material sound vibration not just not helps, but it also actually dirties and contaminates the heart further. But Krishna, as our ever well-wishing best friend, when he knocks the door of our ear in the form of Krishna Katha, and we let him come in by hearing submissively, what does the best ever well-wishing best friend do? He pulls up his sleeves and vidunoti surit satam. He cleans up our heart. And he makes sure that he doesn't tell one jiva about how dirty the heart of another jiva is. Although he's the connecting internet super soul in everyone's heart. He's the common web. So by hearing about Krishna, this is the first point. Even if nothing works, let's say we are chanting japa and mind is going here, there, everywhere. We are trying to do kirtan. We are trying to study. We are trying to do so many things, but the mind gets distracted. Srila Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha, he describes, Shuddhe cha antakarane. He says, Krishna does appear only in the heart which is purified by hearing. Srila Jiva Goswami's quotation from Bhakti Sandarbha. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad says that Shravaniyam, one must hear. Apeksham, the expectation is one should hear. And when one hears, Shuddhe cha antakarane, tat yogyata bhavati. Shri Radha Madhav ki. Yeah. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad says, Shuddhe cha antakarane, tat yogyata bhavati. That one becomes qualified to have darshan of Krishna in the heart. How does one become qualified? By hearing. Just by hearing. And okay, too many things happening. Okay, so this was the first point on the power of hearing. We were mentioning at the Patami temple how Rukmini, this is quite interesting as far as hearing is concerned. Rukmini had 5 brothers. How many brothers? 5. So that's quite significant for us, because in the example, we could correlate that Rukmini represents the soul who is separated from Krishna. And how many brothers do we have in the form of senses? 5 senses. Rukmi, the brother of Rukmini, represents the intelligence. However, when it is not properly utilized, when it is not pure, what does the intelligence do? It agrees to everything that the mind says. So who is the mind? Shishupal. Let's repeat this again. Rukmini represents the soul. Her 5 brothers represent the 5 senses. Her brother Rukmi represents the intelligence. And Shishupal represents the mind. Right? So we have mind mapping to Shishupal. And we as the soul, in the example Rukmini, she's stuck. She's stuck in Vidarbha under Bhishmaka with these 5 brothers who all want her to get married to Shishupal. Just like our 5 senses, they push the soul to listen to the wants of the mind. But what should the soul do? At that point, like all of us struggle, we're all struggling. Our 5 brothers are taking us in 5 different directions, which are the dictation of the mind, ultimately Shishupal. Mind wants to trap the soul, just like Shishupal wants Rukmini. But Rukmini doesn't want Shishupal actually. So the soul doesn't want the wants of the mind, but the mind wants to trap the soul, just like the pastime. But what's the way out? The soul, representing Rukmini, must hear about Krishna from the Brahmin messenger who comes between Krishna and Rukmini again and again. Those sadhus who speak about Krishna, when the Rukmini like Jiva listens to Hari Katha, then the desire to write a letter comes in. Now what is this letter? Letter means offering prayers. When we offer prayers, it could be verbal or it could be in the form of articles in the diary, personal diary that you can maintain. Does Krishna accept that? Yes, Krishna accepts that because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Patram means leaf, but Patram also means letters. Like a love letter is called Prema Patra in Sanskrit. So Patra means a letter too. So Krishna is saying, you offer any of these things and I will accept. So Patra could mean leaf, but it also means letter. So Rukmini is writing a letter of affection, of surrender, helpless call. And what happens? She doesn't have to make her way to Krishna. Krishna on the back of Daruka in the same chariot comes racing to save her from the clutches of Shishupal. So what this means is a living entity who sincerely hears about Krishna and internalizes the mood of helplessness and calls out to Krishna in the form of heartfelt surrendered prayers. Don't try to see God, but act in such a way that God is seeing us. Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta's quote. So this is the power of hearing. Hearing and chanting has the power to attract Krishna to where the devotee is. And where is another example of, we said the example of hearing. Where's the example for chanting? Ekada grihadasishu yashoda nandagehini karmantara niyuktasu nirmamantha swayam dadhi yani yani ha gitani tadbala charitani cha dadhi nirmantane kale smaranti tanya gayata. Damodar Leela. Mother Yashoda is teaching us, if a devotee wakes up early in the morning like she did and sweats down their brow, working for Krishna. Mother Yashoda was sweating, it's described. And His Holiness Shivram Swāmī Maharaj in a series of Krishna and Vrindavan, very beautiful. There's one book called Damodar Janani. And His Holiness Shivram Maharaj writes that the sweat drops, the perspiration drops on the forehead of Mother Yashoda represented something fascinating. It was the day of Diwali, and everyone in Braja was busy lighting lamps. Mother Yashoda was busy working for Krishna and she forgot to light lamps. So what happened? Her service to Krishna lit lamps in the form of perspiration drops on the courtyard of her forehead. Also, because she was raining in ecstasy in the heart, she was getting drenched by the rain shower of ecstasy. Her hair represents the clouds. And from the clouds of her hair were raindrops in the form of perspiration, drenching her even physically in the nectar of Krishna Bhakti. So when a devotee wakes up early in the morning like Mother Yashoda did on the day of Diwali and works very hard, but at the same time it's described, she was remembering Krishna, working for Krishna and loudly chanting his names. What happened? Krishna was sleeping in another room, and that represents Mahavishnu who's in Yoga Nidra. So if a devotee wakes up and calls out to Krishna and works hard in seva and mind is completely absorbed remembering Krishna, then yatra gayanti mad bhaktaha tatra tishtami narada. Krishna gives up his abode and comes searching for such a devotee. And this was the reason why Krishna, as Damodar, woke up from sleep. It was not the breaking of tamogun. For us, we wake up when the string of tamogun has slackened, then we wake up. When the string is tightened, we go off to sleep. Right? But for Krishna, it wasn't like that. Because he is gunatit, he is beyond the gunas. Guna means the modes, but guna also means ropes. So Mother Yashoda was saying, you're gunatit, you're beyond the modes, but you'll become gunadhin. You'll come under the ropes by binding him in the Damodar Leela. So this is a very beautiful example on the power of hearing. So this was the first point. The second point that Maharaj made in his talk, which I really liked, I hope I quoted properly. Maharaj said, in Vrindavan, sweetness eclipses majesty. Is that right, Maharaj? Yeah. Sweetness eclipses majesty. Let's repeat that again. Sweetness eclipses majesty. And we can see so many examples for that. Outside Vrindavan, once Krishna displayed the universal form to Arjuna. Once. And what happened? Sakheti matva prasabham yaduktam he Krishna he Yadava he Sakheti ajanata mahimananta vedam maya pramadat pranayena vapi yachhavahasartham asatkritopi viharashayasana bhojaneshu ekottavapyachuta tatsamaksham tatkszamaye tvamaham aprameyam. Krishna showed the universal form, and Arjuna fell flat on his knees and he said, "My Lord, I'm sorry. Sakheti matva prasavam yaduktam. Many times considering you to be my friend, I have called, hey Yadav, oh cowherd boy. Huh? Hey Krishna." Like in India, I remember when I was growing up, in the place where I used to live, our neighbor, he had a driver for chauffeur-driven car, right? So he had a driver who would drive. So he would leave for work at about 8:30 in the morning. And every day the driver would come at about 8:15. And the neighbor would tell the driver, he would give the keys and he would say, "Switch on the air conditioner. Let the AC in the car be on." So when the car kind of cools down because of the heat outside, then the neighbor would go and sit. So when I was seeing such examples, and Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra tells Krishna, "Senayor ubhayor madhye ratham sthapaya me chuta." Oh, take these keys. Take my car between the two armies, right? In the form of the chariot. This world is actually a reflection of that world. We must know that when we see a fruit, we don't remember the reflection. But when we see the reflection, we remember the fruit. Right? When you see a mango, do we remember the reflection of the mango? No. But when we see the reflection of the mango, we remember the fruit. So this world is a reflection of that world. Which means when we see children crawl in this world, that should be an uddipan, a stimulant, to remember the crawling of Krishna and Balaram. Not that when we hear the crawling of Krishna and Balaram, we remember the crawling of our babies. Right? Because that is the fruit and this is the reflection. So when in this world someone gives the key to the driver and says, "Do this with my car, cool down my car, switch on the air conditioner," that should remind us, oh, maybe that was the pre-Bhagavad Gita relationship between Arjuna and Krishna. But when Krishna showed the universal form, what happened? Arjuna fell on his knees and he said, "My Lord, I'm sorry. I have joked. Yachhava hasartam asatkritopi. Vihara shayasana bhojaneshu." Many times we are honoring prasadam together and I've cut jokes on you. Many times we are playing and I've cut jokes on you. Many times we are laying on a bed and I've cut jokes on you. Many times I've cut jokes on you privately and many times I've cut jokes on you publicly. But today, after seeing your universal form, I realize those jokes were not on you. Those jokes were on me. I am insignificant and you're infinite. What happened? One display of the universal form, and Arjuna went straight from Sakyarati down to Dasyarati, from friendship to servitude. But what happens in Vrindavan? Krishna kills Agasur, Krishna kills Bakasur, Krishna destroys Kaliya and subdues him. He kills Arishtasur and he comes slamming his thighs and arms and tells his friends, "What do you think? Wasn't that impressive?" And the friend said, "Tumi kon bada log, tumi ami sham." What do you think? You're better than us? Even we can do this. Krishna said, "But you can't do what I did. I killed Arishtasur." The friend said, "Don't take undue credit, please. It was not you." Krishna said, "Then who killed Arishtasur?" The friend said, "Your father, Nanda Maharaj, worships a Shaligram Shila." So naturally, when his son is in danger, that Shaligram Vishnu enters your body and he kills Arishta. Well, it's proper Siddhanta anyway. It's Vishnu who kills according to Chaitanya Charitamrita. So where there's love, the Siddhanta falls in place. It's not imagination. So the friends say it's actually Vishnu, the Shaligram Shila, who enters your body and kills Arishtasur. You don't take credit. So their friendship doesn't fall down to servitude. Their friendship just gets thicker. They don't go around saying, "Oh, Krishna is God." And they don't start offering patrams, pushpams, phalam, thoyam, gandha, pushpa, dhoop, deep, naivedya. No. They go home and say, "Mom, my best friend seems to be God." So the focus is not on God. The focus is my best friend also happens to be God. So outside Vrindavan, one display of opulence, and look what happens to Arjun. But in Vrindavan, so many displays of Aishwarya, but the friendship just gets thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. Another example that we can see is the Gopi Geet. In the Gopi Geet, the gopis are in separation from Krishna. I need your help in this. Let's chant this together. Or maybe we can do a call and response, even better. Na khalu gopika. If this is how the gopis chanted, Krishna's not going to come. The gopis were crying and chanting. If we can cry, at least with a little more enthusiasm, please. Let's do it. Na khalu gopika. Nandano bhavan. Akhila dehinam. Antaratmadrik. Krishna has disappeared from the Rasa Leela. It's the middle of the night, in the middle of the forest, on the banks of the Jamuna, and thousands of gopis are crying and weeping. This is just the first two lines of the 4th verse of the 31st chapter of the 10th canto. The gopis call out to Krishna by saying, Na khalu gopika nandano bhavan. Oh Krishna, you are not the son of Yashoda. What do they say? Oh Krishna, you are not the son of Yashoda. Then Krishna is almost asking in their heart, then who am I? So the gopis say, Akhila dehinam antaratmadrik. Na khalu gopika nandano bhavan. Akhila dehinam antaratmadrik. Krishna, you are not the son of Yashoda. You are actually the super soul in everyone's heart. Now it seems that the gopis are driven by the majestic feature of Krishna, is it not? Because they are recognizing Krishna as the super soul. Yes or no? Yes. So the gopis are recognizing Krishna as the super soul. So it seems as if they're sitting on a Vyasasana giving Bhagavatam class. That Krishna, you are not the son of Yashoda. You are the super soul in everyone's heart. Please tell me, millions and millions of gopis in the middle of the night, in the middle of the forest, crying and weeping and searching for Krishna on the banks of Jamuna. Is that what they want to tell Krishna? That Krishna, you are super soul, you are Paramatma, you are not the son of Yashoda. Oh, that is for those who are reading Srimad Bhagavatam outside Vrindavan. If someone is not reading in the Braja Bhakti mood, then the understanding from that verse is, oh Krishna, you are not the son of Yashoda, you are God. But what is the inner heart of the gopis' words? They are saying, Na khalu gopika nandano bhavan. Krishna, you are not the son of Yashoda. What does that mean? Prabhupada writes in the purport, not all the time, but many times it's seen that the son carries the characteristics of the mother. And the daughter carries the characteristics of the father. Yes? Have you all also observed that in your families? No?
Yes.
I feel like I'm talking to myself. Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Prabhupada writes, this is a general observation, that many times the son carries the characteristics of the mother. What is the characteristic of Mother Yashoda's heart? If one person cries, Mother Yashoda will leave everything and come and pacify that person. So the gopis are telling Krishna, Krishna, seems like you are not the son of Mother Yashoda. Because the son carries the heart of the mother. And your mother is very soft-hearted. When one person cries, your mother will drop all that she's doing and come out and pacify that person. Here, millions of gopis are crying and you're still not coming out, which means you're not the son of Yashoda. Then Krishna is saying, then who do you think I am? They are saying, Akhila dehinam antaratmadrik. Seems like you're the Paramatma. Now that seems to be majestic. Paramatma. But what's the heart of the gopis' words? The gopis are saying, when someone burns in fire, or drowns in the water, does the Paramatma come out to help? Think about it. If someone is having a burn in the finger or they're, in the water, do you think Paramatma comes out and helps? The gopis are saying, look at our situation. Inside, we are burning in the fire of separation. And outside, we are drowning in the water of our tears. But still, you're not coming out. You're not coming out to help us. Also, what is the qualification or the quality of Paramatma? You cannot see him, but he can see you. But for the gopis, they're saying, we can see you, but you're hiding and seeing us. So both these qualities of not coming out and helping when someone is in the time of difficulty, and at the same time, we not being able to see you and you hiding and seeing us, both qualities of Paramatma are fulfilled. So therefore, Krishna, this is our conclusion tonight, that you cannot be, because you're so hard-hearted, you cannot be the son of the soft-hearted Gopika, Yashoda. You are Paramatma, because you're not coming out and helping us when we are burning in the fire of separation and drowning in the water of our tears. And we can see you, but you're hiding and seeing us. Therefore, Na khalu gopika Nandano bhavan Akhila dehinam Antaratmadre. So we can see how the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, they have a artha, a meaning from the Aishwarya perspective of majesty and opulence, and they also have the inner moods of Braja, where sweetness of Krishna eclipses his majesty. This is the glory of Vrindavan. Therefore, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, please everyone chant. Sakala jagate more Kore vidhi bhakti braja bhav paite nahi shakti Aishwarya jnane te sab Jagat mishrit Aishwarya shithila prem Nahi mora preet. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually Krishna is thinking that the whole world is worshipping me with this mood of opulence and awe and reverence, but that kind of attracts me but doesn't make me completely absorbed in the worship of the devotee, to accept completely in attachment. What attracts me? Mora putra mora sakha Mora pranapati Ei bhave jai more Kore shuddha bhakti Apana ke bada mana Ama shamahin Ei bhave ami hoy Tahar adhin. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna is speaking that when someone offers me some obeisances out of God-fearing mood or out of mood that I am God, with awe and reverence, it doesn't completely attract my heart. But with possessiveness, with love, when they call me and serve me with sweetness, that's when I become completely subservient to their love. So therefore, dear devotees, we can see, to give this love of Vrindavan, where one is attracted not as duty, but by Krishna's beauty. Not being duty bound. I'm chanting, because I'm initiated, I gave my word to my guru. I'm worshipping because if I don't, I will go to hell. I'm reading, because I have to. I have to wake up for Mangalarti, because I have to. That is duty bound. But in Vrindavan, people are not duty bound. They are attracted to Krishna's beauty, and therefore they are beauty bound. And to give this mood, Shachinandan Gaura Hari came and gave Braja Prem to this world. And the last point, the third point for tonight, His Holiness Romapada Swāmī Maharaj touched upon Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. So I just want to make one quick comment and then we'll wrap up for today. We can see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told Rupa Goswami to install deities. Yes, you've all heard this before. Yes.
Yes.
We've heard that Srila Rupa Goswami was given the instruction to build temples
Yes.
and install deities.
Yes.
What was the name of the deity that Rupa Goswami installed?
Radha Govinda.
Radha Govindadev. That's correct. What was the name of the deity for Sanatan Goswami? Madan Mohan. What was the name of the deity for Shiva Goswami? Radha Damodar. And what was the name of the deity of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur? Radha Madhav on the altar. So Srila Rupa Goswami was given this instruction to find deities. Please tell me, is this lost and found?
No.
Is this some archaeology?
No.
Deities are lost somewhere. Mahaprabhu is telling Rupa Goswami, go and find. No, this is the Leela of the deities. Dear devotees, we want to understand what actually happened. In the Rasa Leela, in the Gopi Geet, when the gopis sang Nakhalu Gopika Nandano Bhavan, what happened to Krishna? Krishna appeared. Please, dear devotees, note this point in your heart. The gopis were searching for Krishna. Whom were they searching for?
Krishna.
And when they sang the Gopi Geet with tears, Iti Gopya Pragayanta Palapantyascha Chitradha Rurudu Suswaram Rajan Krishna Darshana Lalasa Tasam Avir Bhuchauri Smayamanam Mukhambujam Pitam Varadhara Shragvi Sakshad Manmatha Manmatha. When the gopis were crying and singing out the names of Krishna, Krishna who was hiding, what happened to him? He appeared. Similarly, dear devotees, all the deities that Vajranabh had installed, they were all hiding. And Rupa Goswami, following the gopis, came to Vrindavan and he was crying and weeping and singing. And as a result, what happened? Just like Krishna came out, being attracted to the song of the gopis, Radha Govindadev came out, being attracted to the singing and weeping of Rupa Goswami. So it wasn't that Rupa Goswami was going to lost and found or an archaeological process. It was the Vigraha Leela. It was the pastime of the deity. The deity went into hiding, just like we find the story of Gopal at Govardhan. He was waiting and hiding for Madhavendra Puri. But as soon as Madhavendra Puri came, the deity manifested. So all the deities in Vrindavan were hiding. And the 6 Goswamis, following the gopis of Vrindavan, being a follower of Mahaprabhu, they came to Vrindavan and they were singing and dancing and calling out to the names, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So by Rupa Goswami singing and crying, Radha Govindadev, who was hiding, he couldn't hold anymore. So he broke open and he came out. Similarly, Sanatan Goswami, by his crying, he invoked Madan Gopal of Advaita Acharya, who became Madan Mohan later. So in this way, these 3 points to wrap up. Point number 1, by hearing about Krishna, the heart gets cleansed. Point number 2, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give a gift, not just bhakti, not just in the mood of awe and reverence, but to worship Krishna, understanding him to be the Lord of our life, beyond the scope and beyond the understanding of awe and reverence. Because sweetness eclipses majesty. And the third point, it was Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami as perfect representatives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just like they wrote their books and they spoke about Radharani's hair braid being like a serpent. Nava Goro Chana Gori Pravarendi Varavaram Manastabika Vidyuta Veni Vyalangana Phanam. Phanam means a serpent. So Rupa Goswami wrote like this in his books. And by the power of his crying and singing, following the gopis' model in the Gopi Geet, the deity started manifesting. So to Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and all the Goswamis of Vrindavan, who took the baton of Mahaprabhu's preaching far and wide, and to all the acharyas coming in the Rupanuga line, up to Srila Prabhupada and the followers of Srila Prabhupada, who are building temples, installing deities, writing books, distributing those books, distributing the contents of those books, and installing the deities of Radha and Krishna in the hearts of the listeners, we offer our obeisances in gratitude. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Gaura Premanande.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramad Maharaj, for the insightful lecture. And thank you, Amarendra, for taking that to the next level, taking it to the beautiful Braj Leela, which many of you witnessed before. We hope that this continues, this journey continues Maharaj coming, Amarendra Prabhu coming, and enlightening us with so much wonderful rasa. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.